Absolutely, they do. And the beliefs and values that I have that are most important are that I feel that an attorney's job is to have complete integrity. If my word can't be relied upon, then I can't be relied upon. That's very important. However, I believe that partisan politics has no place in the county attorney's office. Our job is to help the policymakers get their job done. There are policymakers in the courthouse, and then there are people like Mindy and Jeanette and myself, whose job is not to make policy to direct how the county goes. We're to affect the policy that is set by Commissioner Williams and Judge Tinley and the other commissioners. They're the people that you elect to drive the county in a particular direction. It's my job to keep my personal politics out of it and to help drive the county where the policymakers have chosen to let it go. The danger when you start putting your own personal politics out in front is that if then your clients, the policymakers, choose to go in a different direction, you're handicapped because you've already put yourself in a position of having a different policy. So I don't believe that partisan politics has any room at all in the county attorney's office, but I do think that there are the values that both Rob and I share, which are integrity, truthfulness, honesty, doing your job, doing it well, treating people properly, making sure that the people that come before you get treated honestly and fairly, regardless of their politics. Everyone that comes into our courtroom has to know that they're going to be treated fairly, no matter what, no matter if I don't like them or if I don't like their lawyer. I'll give you an example. I represented one of the children in the FLDS polygamy case. My job was to return that child to his family, and the only thing I was able to do to affect the policy, I don't agree with the way those people live their lives, but the only thing I was able to do was to enforce the fact that he could only go back to his family if there was no multiple marriages. Everything else are things that I perhaps don't agree with, but as an advocate for that child, my duty as an attorney and to my ethical duty to the State Bar of Texas was to help that child go back to his home, be reunited with his family that loves him, and go into an environment that's going to be safe. That's a good example of how your own personal politics can't play any part in your job as a person with a client, a lawyer with a client.
Thank you. Rob, you want to take just a moment and, since you brought up personal values, and give us a little better sense of how you believe this may matter in your role as a county attorney?
Absolutely. I'm proud to be a true conservative, a lifelong conservative, not just as a fiscal conservative, which I am, but also as a social conservative. I believe very deeply in having limited government, in protecting the unborn, in family values, and in the values and beliefs that are shared by this community. And why it matters is because your county attorney is not an administrative position. Your county attorney has considerable authority and discretion to affect every single person's lives. As the county attorney, I will be called upon to make very important decisions. And why my values and beliefs matter is because that is the foundation, that is the worldview that as a Christian, as a conservative, I will be coming from when I'm making the decisions that affect y'all's lives. I'll give you a concrete example. Take the issue of eminent domain. Eminent domain is the issue where government can come in and take private property. And there's the liberal philosophy of eminent domain that came out of the Supreme Court case in Connecticut, that eminent domain can be used for whatever government wants, even if it's going to take your private property and use it for personal use. Take your house and turn it into a shopping center. There's the conservative philosophy that I believe that eminent domain should only be strictly limited and only be used for government purposes. And so as a conservative, when I'm advising the Commissioner's Court, when I'm exercising my discretion on eminent domain issues, when I'm standing up for the residents of Kerr County with these huge power lines that are cutting through our community, I'm coming from that as a conservative, standing up for conservative values and coming from the conservative beliefs that will affect the advice and the decisions that I make as your county attorney.
Let's talk a little bit about your role in relation to the Commissioner's Court. We have had, the Commissioner's Court has enjoyed the services of Judge Emerson for a number of years, and we've grown quite accustomed to his keeping us on the path and advising us correctly. So why don't you, Rob, start by telling me, or telling the folks out here, How do you see the county attorney's responsibilities and duties as they relate to Commissioner's Court as the legal advisor?
The county attorney's office, the county attorney is the chief legal advisor and chief legal officer for the county. And with the Commissioner's Court, first of all, my role is to provide efficient, accurate legal advice to the Commissioner's Court. Commissioner, when you and the other members of the court have a question or a legal issue that needs addressing, that issue will be addressed very promptly. And the advice that I give you will be fair and balanced, and that advice will be based upon the law. But that advice will also come with my recommendation as the county attorney, as an attorney of the state of Texas, with where I think the law comes, but also with where I see the facts and the issues as they affect this county. So I look forward to working with you as an efficient, straightforward county attorney, but also one who recognizes and will give you advice based upon my beliefs and based upon the facts and how I see that they impact our community. Because at the end of the day, yourself, myself, everyone here that seeks office to be a servant of the people and for you. And that will be one of the things I keep in the foremost of my mind as I'm executing the duties of county attorney.
Ilse, 1 minute.
I think Rob stated the duties of a county attorney with respect to the Commissioner's Court very accurately. The part that I think he probably doesn't really understand, not having done the job, is that his previous answer was a good example of why one's personal politics can't be involved in this. If I'm advising you all on an eminent domain issue, and I agree completely with Rob and his philosophy that eminent domain should be used very cautiously, carefully, and not for advancement of private issues, I believe that. But if you all, within your wisdom, decided that you wanted to do some eminent domain that fell within the purview of the law for a purpose that I felt was a little bit outside of that area, my job is still to assist you in completing that. Now, in the privacy of our conversations individually, I might counsel you against it. But if you're determined to do something that you can do within the law, my job as county attorney is to advise you as I see fit, but to help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
Thank you. I have a question for the audience for both of you. In your property rights stance, how do you consider issues like failing septic systems and garbage disposals on private property? Do you feel that one, okay? Ilse, start with you.
That's actually my favorite example of the conundrum of property rights. It's very easy to say that we're all very much in favor of personal property rights, and I certainly am. But I like to use the travel trailer out on the property with the hose sticking out of the side and the toilet flushing onto the ground is a good example of your private property rights and where your poop goes onto my private property. And that is an issue that covers the whole community. And we have to have regulations that do sometimes infringe on your absolute freedom to use your property as you see fit, because you have to take into consideration the entire community. So we try to keep those regulations as limited as possible, but it is necessary sometimes to limit people's freedom to abuse their property and thereby abuse the citizens around them.
Rob, 1 minute.
Part of what the county attorney's role is to enforce the law and to enforce the regulations so that we can keep our community safe and we can keep our community healthy. And that will be my role as county attorney.